Hello everybody, this is TheXseption and welcome to my Week 2 team builder for the P4G. This week, myself and the Tampa Bay Luxrays, we're taking on Jodor and the Seattle Seakings. So down below you'll see his team. He's got Gengar, Feraligatr, Shaman, Rotom Heat, Flygon, Sneasel, Mega Scizor, Clefable, Hitmonchan, Spiritomb, and Omastar. Of those Pokemon, I'm fairly certain that we'll see Gengar, Rotom Heat, and Clefable in the match. Although I think that he could bring Spiritomb over Gengar, I do not see him bringing both. I think that Feraligatr will probably be there, and Mega Scizor will probably be there, although he could bring Omastar over Feraligatr if he wants to set up hazards. It really depends on how useful he thinks hazards will be against my team versus how useful Dragon Dance or Aqua Jet or something like that will be against my team. So he could bring either of those. Shaman, I think, could come. Hitmonchan could come. Sneasel could be there. And I think Flygon could be there. But I think it's really a toss-up over what he brings this week, just because I think that all his Pokemon play different roles for the most part, and he could bring any of them to try to counter me. With that in mind, let's go ahead and hop into our first Pokemon that we are bringing this week, and that is going to be... Bam! Rotom Wash is the first Pokemon we are bringing this week. So, like I said last week, I led off with Celebi, and I said I was going to lead with Celebi no matter what. Now, I'm not going to lead with Rotom no matter what, but you might see it come out first, just because it counters pretty much everything on his team pretty well. And it's just a good lead. You know, I can always hit Volt Switch if I don't want to be in there. I can Thunderbolt things, I can Hydro Pump stuff. Hydro Pump actually hits his team very hard. So we're running 252 HP, 248 defense, and 8 speed. The 8 speed is so it can outspeed a Rotom Heat. If Joe decides to put like 4 EVs on the Rotom Heat to try to outspeed me, I can outspeed him with the 8. That's the thought behind the 8. 252 HP and 248 defense is just so we have as much defense as possible. So Rotom is part of our defensive core as well. I have another Pokemon on the team that's going to be part of the defensive core, and we'll go into that a bit, but I wanted to run Rotom defensively for that reason, because it can take some physical hits, and it can dish out some heavy damage. We are running Metronome on it. Me and my assistant coach, we went through a lot of sets this week, a lot of different things, to try to beat and counter Joe's team, and I had this idea this morning for Metronome. We originally had Life Orb on there, and Life Orb does 30% more damage, and you lose like a tenth of your health each turn that you use a move. So it chips away at your health very quickly, and without healing, Rotom can't be on the field too much. But Metronome, each consecutive turn gives 20% more damage up to 100%. So possibly after 5 turns of hitting a move, it could do 100% more damage than it normally would, or 2 times the damage. So Rotom could be hitting very hard, and I think this will confuse Joe a little bit, because I don't think anybody expects a Metronome Pokemon to be facing them. You know, he might think it's Expert Belt at first. He might think I'm running some weird item. I don't know. What I'm hoping he thinks, though, is that I'm running a choice item, so either a Scarf, Specs. If I get a few Hydro Pumps on him, he might start to think that I'm running Specs Rotom Wash, and he could think that I'm locked in. If he thinks I'm running Scarf, he could think that I'm locked in, and same with Choice Band. Now, Choice Band is kind of out there. I don't think he'd expect that right off the bat, but he could suspect that I might be running that for like a Sucker Punch on Gengar or Spiritomb or something like that, just something like really out there and really tricky. So I think Metronome will be really fun to use in this match, just because he won't know what to do. And hopefully what he does is, after I've hit Hydro Pump a few times in the match, maybe he switches into Feraligatr. Maybe he thinks that I'm locked in and has to switch, so he goes for like a Dragon Dance, and I hit Thunderbolt and take him out right then and there. So we could really play some nice trickery on him right there with that. So that's kind of the plan with Rotom. Let's move into the next Pokemon we are bringing this week, which is going to be Blaziken. So Blaziken, we are running 252 attack, 8 special defense, and 248 speed. So 248 speed allows me to outspeed Clefable, Scizor, and Feraligatr. Feraligatr gets Aqua Jet, so we have to watch out for that. But if somehow we learn all 4 of his moves and he doesn't have Aqua Jet, then we are safe to attack him with a high jump kick. Knockoff is for Gengar, Flare Blitz for pretty much everything. We're running Flare Blitz kind of just for Spirit Tomb, but it also happens to work out to do a lot of damage to Scizor. I think it OHKOs Scizor, yeah. It does a lot of damage to Clefable. And it'll do a decent chunk to Rotom H. And the high jump kick will do a lot to Rotom H. It'll do a lot to Flygon, but we have to catch Flygon on the switch in because Flygon is faster and will OHKO us back. So I just got to play around with that. Blaziken is going to be kind of a sweeper, kind of a just an attacking mon. It's just going to be an offensive mon this match. It's never, I guess it's never really a defensive mon, but it's not going to be super offensive like it was last week. Like last week, I wanted to sweep with it right off the bat and just knock out all of his mons. Blaziken's going to kind of play a safer role this week. It's going to hang in the back and just kind of be there for when it's needed, because I'm going to need it to take out Clefable, or to help take out Clefable. I'm going to need it to take out Scizor, maybe Gengar for Alligator. It can take out a lot of things, and I might need it for any one of those. So it's going to stay in the back for a little while, but that's what we're going to be using for. We're running Life Orb with it, so it does more damage, and we have Vacuum Wave. So I was going to run Quick Attack, but Vacuum Wave actually does more to everything except for Clefable, and in that case, we'll just hit Flare Blitz, so it doesn't really matter, because we're going to be faster than Clefable, and I don't think Clefable gets any priority moves that I'm aware of. So, Vacuum Wave also kills Sneasel, so if he brings Sneasel and we get a chance to hit Vacuum Wave, we can take it out with that, pretty much, unless he's running a Sash, of course, which would be annoying. But, I guess our next Pokemon is there to deal with the Sash, which is going to be Skarmory. So we're bringing Skarmory this week. And we are running 248 HP, 252 defense, and 8 special defense. So Skarmory is going to be another part of the defensive core. So we got Rotom, we got Skarm. You'll see some special defensive mons coming up here. But Skarm is going to be another part of that defensive core. And it's really going to be necessary to have this and Rotom, because Snuggles here, the Skarmory, will get worn down pretty quickly if we don't have another mon to take some hits. Plus, I don't want Joe predicting if I'm going to switch into Skarmory or Rotom. You know, if I'm only using Skarm as the defensive mon, he could predict that I'm going to go into Skarm and then hit a fire move or something for, you know, whatever reason. But if I'm switching between Rotom and Skarm, he won't know exactly which one's going to be coming out. So, you know, he might have to hit a move that is neutral against both rather than super effective against one, or make the prediction and try to guess a super effective move, and then I switch in with the other one. You know, it's going to be mind games in that regard. But running Rocky Helmet as always. We don't have any attacks this week, so we got Whirlwind. Whirlwind is there because there's a lot of mons on his team that could set up and wreck me. So, Feraligatr can set up with a D-Dance and it wrecks me. Clefable, after a few Calm Minds, wrecks me. Scizor, after a Swords Dance, will wreck me. Spirit Tomb, after Calm Minds, can wreck me. So, really got to have a phasing move on the team, and Whirlwind is the best one, in my opinion. Just because Skarm is not like super effectively hit by most of those mons. In fact, it walls Feraligatr. It can wall Clefable if Clefable doesn't have Flamethrower. It'll wall Scizor. It'll wall Spirit Tomb. Spirit Tomb can burn me, but I can heal with Roost, you know, so it's not a big deal. We got Stealth Rock, of course, to set up the rocks because we can get rid of that Sash on Sneasel potentially. He could also try to run Sash Gengar. We could you know, get rid of that Sash as well. Any Sashes would be gone if we could get rocks up. I don't think he's gonna run a Sash on Gengar. I think he'll run a Choice Scarf, but it's a possibility. He could also run Life Orb. Yeah, Life Orb. But if he runs Life Orb, then Mega Pinsir will outspeed, and I guess I kind of ruined one of my other picks in the back there. But so anyways, that's Skarmory, and let's move on to the next one, which is Dragalge. So, me and my assistant coach had a lot of discussion on Dragalge this week. We had a few different things we wanted to run. It started out with Assault Vest. I wanted to run Assault Vest. In fact, I wanted to run dual Assault Vest this week, but we're not. We're running two. Or no, we're running one, I'm sorry. I wanted to run two, but he convinced me to get the Pyapa Berry. Pyapa Berry will reduce a super effective psychic attack by 50%. So the reason for this is Psyshock Clefable. It wrecks Dragalge here, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't bring Psyshock. Psyshock can do a lot of damage to Dragalge since it bypasses the special defense and hits on the defensive side. So that could be very dangerous. So I'm going to run the Pyapa Berry. We still don't take too much from a Moonblast. We can actually take 4 Moonblasts. So if he's not running Psyshock for some reason, we still get 4 hit KO by Clefable. So we have plenty of time to take out Clefable. We are running Gunk Shot rather than Sludge Wave, because if Clefable starts to set up, Sludge Wave starts to do less and less damage, and it really, Clefable can just run through my team if I let it set up. So I'm running Gunk Shot. Gunk Shot is a physical move, so I have to try to not let Dragalge get burned from anything, and that's going to be kind of difficult, I think, because I think my instinct will be to try to switch into it, but I'll have to remember not to do that, and maybe to switch into another poke instead to take the burn, or maybe Blaziken so that it doesn't get burned. But we got Draco Meteor to take out Gengar. Gengar will actually go down in 1 hit against I think a Life Orb set will go down against Draco Meteor here. Draco also does a lot to Rotom. It does a lot to Feraligatr. Does a little bit to Mega Scizor, and it'll Oko Flygon. We're running Hidden Power Fire for Scizor, because if Scizor doesn't have knockoff, or if we've used our berry, then we actually wall Scizor with Dragalge here too, just fine. So we can hit Hidden Power Fire to take it out, or just to do a bunch of damage. And the last move is Haze. So Haze is another move that we have in case Whirlwind doesn't work out, or Scarm goes down or something. We need something to get rid of the boosts, get rid of any boosts that he has on his team. Clefable, it won't be too useful against Clefable, because if Clefable starts boosting, I might just want to get a Gunk Shot off. That might be the thing to do, because then I can come in with one of my other pokes and just knock it out. But if he sets up with Spirit Tomb, or he sets up with Scizor, we can come in and Haze and get rid of that. Haze will also, I believe, get rid of our negative boost from Draco Meteor. I could be wrong on that, but when Draco hits, you get a minus speed, or minus special attack, I'm sorry. So we'd be -1 in special attack, and I think Haze would eliminate that as well. So that could be very nice and useful for that effect. But we'll have to see. And we're running Quiet to boost our Draco, just so that we'll kill Gengar. It takes 4 Shadow Balls, or 3 Shadow Balls, to take out Dragalge. So I have plenty of opportunities to take out Gengar as well with the Draco. Yep, that is Dragalge there. It's going to be a powerhouse in this match, and I'm excited to use it. It's also part of the special defensive core with the next poke we got here, which is going to be Regice. So, Regice. During my draft analysis, I was talking about Liepard, and I was talking about how I had another Pokemon in mind, but I decided to go with Liepard because it gets Prankster Thunderwave. Well, this is the other Mon that I was thinking about drafting. It just has a huge, gigantic special defense. Running Assault Vest, Overheat does like 40% damage from a Rotom Heat. And we take like no damage from Clefable and like nothing from Gengar. Unless Gengar runs Focus Blast, in which case we take about 30%. But oh man, this could be a game changer here. I don't know how well we're gonna get it to work, honestly. Regice is not a very good Pokemon. I will say that right now. It's just not. It gets wrecked by everything. Ice is not a very good defensive type, because it gets hit by rocks, it gets hit by steel, gets hit by ground. Does it get hit by ground? No, ice strong against ground. I don't know. Either way, Regice doesn't have the best typing, but it has a really great special defense, and we're going to try to use that this week. So last week I dropped Liepard for Regice, so that means I can use Regice this week. Against Joe, we were running Assault Vest just so we have extra special defense. We got 252 HP, 52 defense, and 204 special defense. Now the 52 defense is so that we can survive 2 waterfalls from a Feraligatr. Maybe we have to come in versus Feraligatr and hit Thunderbolt. So that would be good. Thunderbolt will do about 50% damage. Maybe we can take it out that way. But that's just kind of a just-in-case scenario. I don't expect to see it on any physical attackers. Basically, Regice will be the switch-in for Clefable, for Gengar, maybe Rotom Heat in some situations, and whatnot. I also considered running Ice Body instead of Clear Body this week, but I decided to go. I decided not to use Hail because Hail doesn't really work with the rest of my team. Maybe later in the season you'll see a Hail set with Ice Body, but Clear Body is going to be good for this. That way, Moonblast doesn't lower our special attack or special defense, whatever it does, and Shadow Ball won't lower our special defense or whatever it does. But yeah, we also got Hidden Power Fire. Maybe late in the match if we need to throw off Scizor or if we expect a Scizor switch in. I'm gonna have to read what his switch ins are because his switch in might be Rotom Heat. But it could also be Scizor. Scizor could also be a switch in if he's not expecting Hidden Power Fire. Also, if he has the Bullet Punch, that'll be useful against me. So Scizor could be the switch in, and if it is the switch in, we hit Hidden Power Fire, and we can do 50 to 60% to him right then and there. We got Ancient Power for Rotom Heat if he wants to bring that in as a switch in. We got Ancient Power, so we could potentially get boost on all of our moves. I think it's a 10% chance to boost everything, which would be amazing to get. I don't expect to get it though. But we do have Ancient Power for that purpose as well if we want to risk taking an Overheat, which we might want to do at some point. The Ice Beam will knock out Flygon. It'll 2-hit KO Gengar. It's a 4-hit KO for Clefable, but we're not going to use it against Clefable just because Clefable gets Soft Boil and it can wall us once it starts setting up Calm Mind and going for Soft Boil. So we can't actually take it out with Clefable. We can wall Clefable with Regice here. So that's Regice, and let's move on to our last Pokemon, which I spoiled earlier, which is going to be Mega Pinsir. So Mega Pinsir is coming once again, and it's got kind of a weird EV set this week. We got 4 HP, we got 252 attack, 28 defense, and 224 speed. So the 224 speed will allow me to outspeed any base 100 Pokemon. So that would be Flygon and Shaman, and everything else on his team that isn't Gengar, pretty much. I don't know if anything's faster than that. I don't think so. I think we outspeed everything except for Gengar with this set, or Scarf Flygon, which is also a possibility. But we are bringing Pinsir. My assistant coach did not want to bring Pinsir because it's frail and it gets hit hard by all his Pokemon. But here's the thing. It only gets 1-hit KO by 3 Pokemon, which is Rotom Heat with Overheat. It gets O-Code by Stone Edge from Flygon or Icicle Crash from Sneasel. And we're running some pretty special moves to deal with all of those threats. So Stone Edge will hit Rotom Heat for 60 to 70% damage, maybe a little bit more. But the point is, if we can get Rotom Heat damaged a little bit, like 30 to 40%, we can come in, hit Stone Edge, take it out, hopefully. As long as we don't miss. That would be bad. At +2, we knock out his whole team. So the thing is, this could be very instrumental in the match. It's, getting +2 might not happen, but at +1, we do a lot of damage to, for Alligator, we do 80 to 95%. We do 60 to 70% versus Clefable, 60 to 70 versus Rotom, 50 to 60 to Scizor, Oko Flygon. We could Oko Gengar if we predicted a switch in. Feint will not kill Gengar, but if Gengar is maybe taking some damage from rocks or from another attack, then we will Oko. Feint is interesting. So my assistant coach said, okay, well, if you're worried about Sneasel using Ice Shard or Fake Out or something, why don't we run Feint? And I thought, that's interesting. Why would we run Feint? And it's actually +2 in priority rather than +1. So Quick Attack is +1, which is what I would normally run. Quick Attack would Oko Gengar. Feint does not. But Feint does Oko Sneasel. And if we can get some damage done on Sneasel, we'll just take it out right then and there. Won't have a chance to get an Ice Shard off. Won't get a Fake Out off. We'll just kill it. All right, because I don't think Sneasel has any priority moves above +1. And +2 is going to be very nice if we can get that in against Sneasel, because I don't think he'll see it coming. Because I didn't even think about Feint until my AC mentioned it to me. So that is Pinsir right there. I think we have a good chance to win this match, honestly. I think the ball is in our court to win it. Joe's an amazing battler, so I'm just going to have to play well, predict well, and guess what he's going to be doing. If I don't do that, we're going to lose. Because he's just really good, and I feel like I am a decent battler as long as I don't start YOLOing stuff, so I'm going to try not to do that. The plan is basically, though, probably going to start off with Rotom Wash. Probably going to be switching between my defensive mons, so I'll have Rotom, Skarmory, Dragalge, and Regice going back and forth, all around the wheel. Getting a little bit of chip damage off here and there until I can make my move with either Pinsir or Blaziken, and or Dragalge if we need to get a Gunk Shot off or something like that, and just try to get some damage off until we can just make our move. Until we see an opening and we can just go in there and attack. That's going to be the game plan. Hopefully, this is enough to win here. I feel fairly confident in this match. I've done a lot of prepping this week. Me and my AC have gone back and forth on a lot of different sets, had a lot of arguments over what we wanted to run versus him, and I think we've come to this conclusion pretty easily. So, anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this team builder video. Hope you guys will be there for the match on Sunday. It'll be uploaded probably in the afternoon sometime. I don't know. I'll have to work it out with Joe, but we'll figure it out, and it'll be up Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. See you then.